Hello everyone, welcome back to this video series on clinical SAS TFL programming. So in this video, we will see how to program this table, which is treatment emergent adverse events by preferred term. So in every study, we'll have a report which has this layout wherein we summarize the preferred terms by individual preferred terms, and also we present a row on the top wherein we create a summary across all preferred terms and present it here. So here in this case, we are presenting two statistics, small n and percentage. The small n represents the number of subjects with at least one adverse event represented by that particular row value in preferred term column. So for example, here the value 1 shows that there was one subject who experienced cough at least once. So even if a subject experiences multiple times the same adverse event, we count the subject only once for this small n. And then this percentage is calculated as the small n divided by capital N. Capital N is the number of subjects who are present in that particular treatment in the relevant safety analysis set. Continue watching till the end because I'll try to show you how we can reuse the code which we are going to create for the output for L105A can be reused with the input data of lesson 105, which is a different set of input data. So continue watching till the end. So now let us move to the programming. So here in this SAS window, what I have done is I have created a DM statement. I am clearing my output window and log window with this DM statement. For every single submit, I want a clear log and clear output window so that nothing from the previous submit code is present in the log and output windows. And then I am also deleting the work library datasets using this proc datasets. I have my input dataset, input data for this output present in L105A folder. So I have just included that program here. What this percent include does is it submits all the SAS code present in this program, and whatever datasets which gets created out of this code will be available for us to reuse in this. So let's run the code till this point and then see what are the datasets that. So the data file got included and a dataset called ADAE is created and another dataset called ADSL is created. So I want to quickly examine the proc contents of both ADSL and ADAE. So for that I'll make use of proc contents data is equal to ADAE and then run first. So let's quickly examine what are the variables that are present in ADAE. So here in this example data we have AED code, SAFFL, TRTA, TRTAN, TRTEMFL and U subs ID. So if we are creating this table for safety subjects and TRTEMFL, we need to have these two variables as filters. As we are creating the table for preferred term, we need AED code variable. So we have both of them. And then now let us move to, so one thing to note here is that the treatment variable available is a record level treatment variable as per ADAM standard, which is TRTA and TRTAN are present. So whereas TRT01AN and TRT01A are the actual treatment variables at period level. So these are the record level treatment variables are present in ADAE. Now let us go back to the code and examine the variables present in ADSL dataset for us. So we have U sub JD, TRT01AN, TRT01A and safety flag. So as we have to create this table based on safety subject, we need this safety flag. So let us now go and we will first try to identify some of the main sections of codes that are needed and then we'll go ahead with the programming. So let's go to the output. So we need to get the treatment totals and we need to get the counts for the table body, and there can be some cases wherein treatments are absent. So for that we need to create the dummy rows and then populate the zero counts, and then we need to calculate the percentages for in order to report the number of subjects in each treatment in the column header, we need macro variables for the treatment totals. And then along with these three columns, we will also create a total column to have the total number of subjects experiencing adverse event in this study. So let's now jump back to the program and identify the main sections. So let us try to identify. If you are interested in seeing like why these things are coming up with keyboard abbreviations, so I have added many keyboard abbreviations. If you want to import the keyboard abbreviations which I use, there is a link on my website mycsg.in under resources tab on how to make use of the keyboard abbreviations. So let's try to first identify the section. So we need to process the input data sets. So next thing is that we need to create treatment totals and also create macro variables for those treatment totals. And then we have said that we will need to get the counts for the table body. And then we also said that we need to calculate percentages. And then we need to generate our report. So if you have watched my earlier videos on categorical variable summary, so we have created a variable called treatment to replicate the subject rows to account under treatment total column. So let us do that for ADSL. So we have our ADSL dataset. Let's create a dataset named ADSL01. Let's also filter for the subjects who are part of safety analysis set. And then within the same step, let's create a variable called treatment and then assign the values from TRT01 to AN to it. So in this study, so there were three treatments and the values in TRT01 AN are 1, 2 and 3 are possible. So as we are creating for total column as well, let's create a row with treatment is equal to 4 for it. And then let's do the same processing for ADAE. So set input here and this we have to filter for safety subjects and also we need to filter for treatment emergent adverse events. So let's filter for that. And then here the treatment variable is coming from TRT-AN. So we need to assign that to treatment variable and then output it so that the subject gets accounted under the sub treatment which he or she took. And then let's also create a row with treatment is equal to 4 for the same subject and same record but with a value of 4 in treatment. So this gets so that the subject event gets accounted under total column as well. So now we have created or processed our input data sets. So let's run the code till here and see our log. So we have included our data. So two data sets got created. So we were replicating rows. There were 5 records with safety flag is equal to Y. So as we are duplicating each record with the TRT treatment is equal to 4. So the number of records have become 10. Similarly for ADAE, there were 5 observations were read from ADAE. So as we are duplicating, so 10 observations are expected. So the ADAE01 has 10 observations. So now let's get the treatment total. So if you have seen my earlier videos, so I have created dummy treatment totals first and then got the actual treatment and then merge the dummy and actual. So let's create dummy treatment rows. So for that what we have done is we have used a data step with do loop do treatment is equal to, so we know that the possible treatments are 1 2 3 in the study. Along with that we are creating total, so we have used those four. So let's name this consistently with our previous videos. So we called it as dummy treatment totals. So in the next step, we get the denominators based on or treatment totals based on actual data. So for that we used proc frequency. So let's use the same thing here as well. The input data for this is ADSL01. So the variable that we need to obtain the frequencies is treatment. So let's call this data set as TRT totals 01, and then let's rename the count variable to TRT total. And then we are not interested in the percent variable. Let's drop that percent variable which gets created by default. And let's also use no print option here on the proc format statement, as we are only interested in seeing the numbers in the dataset but not in the output window. So and after that, what we did is we merged the dummy and actual treatment totals. So let's sort the dataset and then let's merge them. So TRT totals, and so both these data sets are actually sorted in based on the values in treatment only, so we don't need the proc sort step here, so we can skip that. So we need to merge our dummy treatment totals to treatment totals. So let's call the output data set that is getting created as totals. We need to merge based on treatment total treatment variable. So if a record is present in dummy but not in actual data, what we want to do is we want to assign the treatment total variable value to 0. So let us run till this step and see how our code is working. So if you see, we have obtained our frequencies and then we merged this thing. So the log seems to be working. The log is clear. Let's quickly examine our treatment totals data set. So we have 1, 2, 3 and 4 in the input data. There were no records for subject with treatment is equal to 2. So the record has come from dummy and we have set the treatment total to 0. So now let's go to the code and then obtain the counts. So here there are two sections. So here we have seen in the report that we have to get counts for this overall row and also individual preferred terms rows. So let's see how we can get that. So I'm using an abbreviation called CMNT2, so which I have already added to get this kind of commenting style. So first let's get the counts for top row and then for preferred term level counts. So obtain counts. So here what we need is we'll make use of SQL. So let's call the output data set that we are going to create as top row 01, and here as we need the counts at treatment level, I am using treatment and then using my count function, as I need to count only the subject only once irrespective of the number of times a particular event has occurred or irrespective of the number of events he experienced for the total row. So I am using count distinct use subject ID. If we do not use distinct, a subject gets counted multiple times, but when we use the keyword distinct, so within the treatment the subject will get counted only once irrespective of the number of occurrences he or she has. So I am creating this count variable and creating a variable called count to place that number of occurrences within each treatment by counting a subject only once. So our input data set for this is ADA is 01. So as we need to get the counts based at treatment level, we need to make use of group by and then call it. So let us try to run the code till here and then see if everything is working fine. So yes, everything was working fine till here before that code, and now we have created top row 01. So we have now got the number of subjects experiencing at least one event in each treatment. So let us also get the Same thing for our preferred term level thing. So in the preferred term level, so let's call this as PT row 1. So the input data set is this one. But here, instead of getting counting a subject only once at the treatment level, so we need to get the frequencies now at each preferred term level. So for that, we need to group the counts based on decode and treatment. So let's run this piece of code and then see if the log is clear. Yes, the log is clear and we have created a data set called PT row 1. Let's open it and see. So now we have obtained the number of occurrences of each preferred term within each treatment. So now let us try to combine the counts for top row and preferred term row. Combine the counts. So in the next section, let's use a data step and then combine top row 0, 1, and let's identify the rows coming from top row with a temporary variable called A, and then let's identify the rows which are coming from PT row with a temporary variable named E. So let's call this data set as counts 0, 1. So if a record is coming from top row, I'll create a label of overall, and then I'll also create an order variable to identify these two sections of preferred term versus overall row. So let's as we are creating a new character variable, it's a best practice to assign the length even before we create it. So but the maximum length possible for AED code variable is 200, so I am assigning a length of 200 to this variable. So else if a record is coming from B, which means PT row, then do. So I want to assign the AED code value to the label column. And then I want to identify this entire set of records with an order is equal to 2. So now let's run this piece of code and see what happens. So our log is clean. After we run that, let us open count 0, 1 and see. Now we have combined the rows of top row and also the preferred term level rows. So all the rows with a value of 1 is clearly for top row, and the row is equal to 2, group order is equal to 2 indicates that the level correspond to the preferred term level counts. And then now what we need to do is we will have some preferred terms which are occurring only in one of the treatments but not in the other treatment. For that we need to create a row and present the 0 counts. So how will we do that? So let's make it a section 1. So let us populate 0 counts for PTs which are present only in one of the treatments. So for that what we need to do is we need to fetch the unique preferred terms which occurred in the entire uh, input data set, so that we can get it by using, so let us use order label AED code. So what we are trying to do here is create one record per AED code and also the top row as well. So we are fetching the unique values present in the entire data set. So let us keep only these variables. Keep is equal to order label AED code. So let's run this and then try to open the data set and see what happens. So now let's go back and open this dummy 01 data set. If we see, now we have one row per each unique value that has to be displayed in the report. So but we need to have this row replicated for each of the treatments. So let's use a data step and then replicate the rows. I'm using another data step and then creating a new data set called dummy02. So here I am making use of do treatment is equal to 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then let's output each record. So let's run this code and see. Now what we have done is replicated each row that has to be displayed in the report for each treatment. So each treatment, so let's examine the log. So there were 5 rows in dummy01. If we are replicating it for 4 treatments, it will become 20 records. So we have got that 20 observations in dummy02. Now this is the full set of preferred terms or the top row label along with each treatment. Now if we merge this to our actual counts which we obtained in count 01, we'll get the full template. Let us do that. So for that, let us say merge dummy and actual counts. So let us write a sort step and then a merge step. So in the sort, I need to sort our dummy 02 based on order, label, AED code, and then treatment. So let us copy the same sort step and sort our count01 also with the same variables, and then merge our dummy02 and count01, and let's call this output dataset as counts02. So we can make use of the by variables which are coming from here. And again, in the same case like how we did for treatment totals, if a row is present in dummy but not in the actual data, we need to make the count as 0. So here why we are making count is equal to 0, because we have created the variable as count here, which contains the number of subjects which experienced at least one event. So let us run the entire code till this step and then examine our log. So if we see, there were only 12 possible combinations in the actual data, but the what we need to have is 20 rows. So we have 12 and 20, and on all 8 rows which were not present in actual data but were present in only dummy, so we would have assigned that as 0. So if you see, there will be 8 rows with 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because in the actual data, within the preferred term and treatment level combinations, there were only 12 occurrences. But as we need to present 0 counts, we need to have the full template. So 12 and 20. So there were 8 rows with 0 values. And then what we need is to calculate percentages. In order to calculate the percentages, we need to fetch the treatment totals into our counts data set. So our counts data set is count02. So we need to resort the data set of count02 based on treatment alone now. So we don't need this emptyware. We can just replicate this sort for our TRT totals data set as well. We have created a data set which contains the treatment totals with the name of TRT totals. So I am making use of that. And the next step, we need to merge our count02 with our treatment totals with the by variable as treatment. So let's name this output dataset which is coming out of this as count03, and again here we need to keep only the rows which are coming from count02. So I am using a subsetting if statement with if a, and then we need to calculate our percentages. So let us create a new data set called count04 by using count03 as input. In this newly created dataset, let's create the variable called CP, which is used to store the count and percentage. Let's give it a length of 30. So how do we create the length count percentage variable? So we can create. So we do not want to present the uh, frequencies, percentages when the count is 0. So I am checking if count not is equal to 0, and 100 percentage will be presented as 100.0 in this example. If you are watching from my after watching this video after watching my previous videos, so there we have seen examples wherein we may be asked to present 100 percentage as 100 instead of 100.0. So, but here in this example, we'll be presenting it as 100%, 100.0 if it is 100 percentage. So, if count not equal to 0, then we were creating CP is equal to. So, I want to concatenate my count. So, along with percentage. So, I want to give a space before the opening parenthesis. And then here I am calculating the percentage within the put function. So count by denominator multiplied by 100 gives my percentage. I am using a 5.1 format to convert the percentage to character value. And then else if when the count is 0, we just want to present only the frequency but not the percentage. So we used this. Let us run the code till this step and then see how things. So sorry, the variable name for which contain the treatment total is TRT total. So let's use that. So let's open count 04 and see if CP is created. So wherever the count is 0, we have created only the frequency but not the percentage. So when the percentage is present, as I was mentioning here in this example, 100 percentage is presented as 100.0. And then what we have is like we have the rows treatment available as rows. Then we need to restructure our data set such that treatments become columns. So how can we do that? We can make use of a sort step followed by a transpose step. So our count 04 is the input. So let us sort this data set based on order, label, AED code, and then treatment. So let us treatment is not needed as it becomes an ID variable. So even if we keep it here, that will not be a problem. So count 04, let's create the output data set as count 05, and let's also use a prefix of TRT here. And then the by variables will be the same, one record per label, and then where is our count percentage is being transposed with the values present in treatment variable becoming the new columns. So we don't need this empty var, so I'm removing that. So let us run this code till this step and see how it goes. So everything ran fine. So we have our count 05 wherein the columns are restructured. So now all we need is to create the macro variables and then jump into. So I think I might have kept the macro variable section here on the top but not have created it. So we have our treatment totals created. After this, let's create our macro variables. So let us. So we will make use of our that calls inputx. So I do not want to create a new data set. So I am using underscore null underscore. So after our input data set is TRT totals, which has all our input, uh, one row per each treatment. And I'm making use of calls inputx to create the macro variables. There are two arguments are needed. So I am first argument I will make use of a catus function, and in the second argument I want to store the values from TRT total into the macro variables that get created. So I want to add a prefix of TRT to my treatment variable to the macro variable that get created. So I am using this syntax. So first row when treatment is 1, so I will create a macro variable called TRT1. So on the second row when treatment is 2, the name of the macro variable will become treatment2. which is TRT2. So I have created the macro variables as well. Now all we need to do is write the proc report. So in general, we may be asked to create an RTF report, but I will not cover that in this video. I will create report in the listing destination. So we'll make use of proc report. Data is equal to our count 05 can be used as input to the proc report. So let us use no windows option. Uh, and then let us also make use of headline and head skip option, and then give a page size of 15 and line size of 150. And then what are the columns that we need here? We need the order column for ordering the preferred terms and top row level, and then we need the label column to be displayed, and then we need our treatment columns: treatment 1, treatment 2, treatment 3, and treatment 4. And then we need to write define statements for these columns which are being used. So order column, we want to use it for ordering but do not print it, so we'll make use of no print option. And then for define label, so use let us go and check in the report. It has the label of preferred term here, so let us use the same text. So we are giving a column label of preferred term for our label column, and then let's use a width of 50 for this column, and let's make use of the flow option. So even if there is any preferred term which is beyond 50 characters, that will be wrapped onto the new line with the flow option. And then so let us write the define statement for TRT1. So for this treatment 1, so let us create a label of treatment 1 only, and then let us use a width of 15, and then use the center option for this. So here we also need to present the number of subjects in the header. So for that we are making use of n is equal to the name of the macro variable which contains our first treatment total is TRT1, so I am using that here. So let us copy this statement and then replicate it for the other treatments. So treatment 2, treatment 3, and treatment 4. So let us change the labels as well. Treatment 3, and for the TRT4 is total, so I'll change the label to total. So let's also change the names of the macro variables which will contain the corresponding treatment header. So we want to create a blank line after the top row and preferred term row. So for that purpose, we have identified or created this order variable, which will have a value of 1 for the top row and 2 for the rest of the rows. So let us use compute after order. So I want to write a blank line using line at 1. So and I'll give an empty line. So let us also write some standard blank line after each page. Line at the rate 1, so I want to use 150 times this hyphen value and comp. So let us try to run this entire code and see if it runs fine or if we have any issues. So this seems to be working fine, and we have our final report generated. So we have preferred term overall, and we wanted this blank line to be written after our overall this top row and the second section. So we have our counts also displayed. Treatment 1, so there were 2 subjects, and treatment 2 there were no subjects in the data. In treatment 3 there were 3 subjects, and total there were 5 subjects. So here 2 subjects experienced the 2 subjects who are present in the this treatment experienced, both of them experienced at least one adverse event, so this number is 2. And then out of the 3 uh, subjects present in treatment 3, only 2 of them have experienced at least one adverse event. So the percentage here is calculated as 2 divided by 3 multiplied by 100. So 2 by 3 will become 66.6666. So as we have rounded it to one decimal, this has become 66.7. And similarly, total is the sum of these three values here. 2 plus 0 plus 2 is 4. And then the percentage here is calculated as 4 divided by 5. So which is 4 by 5 is 80 percentage. So this is how we can create a adverse events by preferred term table. So if you see, we have completed this table in about 35 minutes of time. So now what we will try to do is we will try to make use of the same code with a different set of input data, and we'll see how to make use of this code with L105 data. So wherein there are more treatments. So we will run this till this step and then take a look at the input. So here the treatment variable values are a little different. So in the ADSL dataset, I am interested in checking the unique values present in TRT01A. So we have created the data table based on 105A example data. So now we are trying to make use of the existing code to generate 105 data. So let us run this till this step and see. So here the treatment values in the 105 data are 0, 54 and 81. So there are three treatments again here, and then let us try to make use of the previously written code for this data. So here let us do one thing. Let us create this treatment variable conditionally. If TRT01AN is equal to 0, then treatment is equal to 1. Else if TRT01AN is equal to 54, then treatment is equal to 2. Else if TRT01AN is equal to 81, then treatment is equal to 3. So let us copy this section and do the same processing for ADAE as well. So here instead of TRT01AN, the record level treatment variable TRTAN has to be used. So let us use that. So all I had to change is this particular section of code wherein the treatment variable values are being reassigned. So if I run this code, let us run and see what happens. So if you see, so we have our report generated with the second set of input data which had the same set of three treatments, and then the final column as well, total column as well. We have 15 subjects in each of the treatments, so the total is 45. So with this kind of coding approach, so you'll be able to reuse almost this code in any study with minimal changes. So here, and if you are generating the report, so all you will need to do is, like, if you have one more treatment column, say for example TRT4, and you are creating total with a value of 5. So what you need to do there here is add that additional column here and adjust the defined statements accordingly. So this will be as simple as that. So try to use this approach everywhere. The complete code for this can be found on the website. Thank you for watching and keep learning.